Hello, Memphis-Shelby County Schools. I am Dr. Kanesha Moore, your psychology postdoctoral fellow at the Family Care Clinics. And today, the doctor is in with facts about relationships. Relationships impact all parts of our lives. Our personalities, identities, beliefs, and even successes are all related to relationships, whether they be with ourselves, others, or our higher power. Being connected with others can make us feel empowered and brave enough to conquer the world. It can also make us feel vulnerable enough to cry a sea of tears, knowing that those we're connected to will come in with a life vest and save us from drowning. Yes, the doctor gets a little poetic sometimes too, but I digress. Because relationships are so impactful, it's important that we're selective with whom we choose to be connected. Being in the wrong kinds of relationships can be detrimental to our physical, emotional, spiritual, and even mental health. So how do we know if our relationships are good for us? I'm glad you asked. Good, healthy relationships are packed with a balance of nurturing and accountability. There is open communication, and anything can be discussed without the fear of judgment. The level of trust is high, and there aren't worries about dishonesty, infidelity, or harm of any kind. Freedom is to be yourself, and it is to be prioritized. And members within the relationships act interdependently. One another's interests are viewed with curiosity. People are flexible and compromising, working together to make decisions impacting the unit. There's a sense of lightheartedness and some form of physical intimacy, but that depends on the type of relationship. And when conflicts arise, as they absolutely will, resolving them is done respectfully and lovingly. However, not all relationships work that way. Sometimes relationships are filled with criticism, stonewalling, defensiveness, and the worst of them all, contempt. Dr. John Gottman considers these to be the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse, meaning that if your relationships are filled with these communication and behavior patterns, they are unhealthy, they will fail, and someone will leave the relationship feeling emotionally battered. The good news is that there are antidotes to each of these communication and behavioral styles that can be taught in therapy. Or you can simply create and enforce boundaries with folks who got you messed up, okay? And I know sometimes things aren't that easy. There are situations that take relationships from being unhealthy to being downright abusive. Abuse can take many forms, and the difficult thing about it is that it's not always obvious. If communication happens in hurtful, threatening, insulting, or demeaning ways, that's abuse. If one week you're getting more affection and attention than you can handle, and the next week there's radio silence, that's love bombing, and that's abuse. If experiences are being minimized or invalidated, that's gaslighting, and that's abuse. If your needs or concerns are being unheard, overlooked, or neglected, that's abuse. If there's no equality and one person makes all of the decisions without the other's input, especially around finances, that's abuse. If physical or emotional isolation from your family and friends is occurring, that's abuse too. And if sexual or physical violence of any kind is present, that is abuse, and that can be deadly. There's no fixing abusive relationships. The only solution is dissolution. So please, get out. Getting out is easier said than done, but there are resources to help survivors leave abusive relationships. If you or someone you know is trying to exit an abusive relationship, the National Domestic Violence Hotline can be utilized by calling 1-800-799-SAFE or by texting START to 88788. Unhealthy relationships may lead to feelings of distress, anxiety, depressed mood, and many other mental health issues that can get in the way of our daily functioning. Before things get that far, it's important to talk with someone. Fortunately for you, Memphis-Shelby County Schools has resources in place to help with your mental health related concerns. If needed, Methodist EAP can be contacted at 901-683-5658 to schedule an appointment, or at 800-880-5658 for 24-hour crisis telephone response. They provide services for yourself and anyone in your household. Appointments can also be scheduled with me, either in person at 130 Flicker Street or virtually. Just call 901-416-6079 to make an appointment for yourself or for your dependents. And if ever help is needed when other resources are unavailable, the National Crisis Hotline can be utilized 24/7 by dialing 988 or texting HOME to 741-741. Again, I am Dr. Kanesha L. Moore, your psychology postdoctoral fellow at the Family Care Clinics, where we aim to provide you with the best possible holistic health care. Thank you for tuning in to The Doctor Is In. Y'all have a great one.